Good afternoon, everybody. Today we're going to talk about statutes and constitutions and legislative information. If you can see from the slide, from the screen that I'm trying to share with you here, you're going to get an overview of the module that we're going to be working with. And you're going to see that this module is actually composed of two different sections. And obviously, the section is right on the title, the statutes and constitutions, and then legislative information. Starting at the statutes section, you're going to see that it begins by telling us all there is about how statutes are found, how they're organized, what they are called at different stages. So the beginning is a slip law, the second one is a session law, and it ends up being codified or in the statute at large in a part of the code. So to do research on statute is what I want to try and show you today. You can look on the online code, and then you can KeyCite and Shepherd to update your law. And you can also use indices and tables to make sure that you get an overview look at how the statute has been interpreted by the different courts of the land. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you the Legal Research in a Nutshell LibGuide, so that I can go back and refresh your memory about the different links that are available for you to do statutory research. And at the beginning, on Chapter 5, the links begin with congress.gov, which is obviously the main source of legislation from the federal government. Then there's GovInfo. And then we have access to Proquest Congressional, Congressional Quarterly, Press Guide to Congress, and then congressional bills through gov.info, and then the access through HANA Online, which we have through the libraries, etc., etc. If you notice also the way that they're organized, at the beginning, the legislative history tells you how or what is the public policy perspective behind a law. So we do legislative history research, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more in detail later to find out what was the intent behind the law. And that way we can argue whenever the court has misinterpreted what the intent of the law is by bringing in materials from legislative history resources that are available through there. Then you can look at the bills, and you can look at the committee reports, which is more of the meaty substances, in my opinion, where they have the actual discussions and debates, and they come up with reports to tell us how they arrived at a particular compromise. There's also all the debates, which are all included in there, the hearings, and then other congressional publications that come out. There are many research resources that we have available and compile legislative histories of different particular laws. So for example, the Affordable Care Act is going to be a federal legislative history already compiled of how it progressed through one house to another Senate and committees, etc. History, all the history of it, how it was promulgated. Okay, then Congressional Quarterly and other tracking services are available for you to, if you are keeping track of a particular bill. There are directories that are available for you to actually connect and to try and persuade the legislature to go one way or another. And then there's state legislative information, which is just basically a replica of the federal government, but for the state. And they're supposed to be organized in similar fashion for you to do the research, as you saw. Then I also clicked on the links part of the research guide, so you can just see how all the different sources, including HathiTrust that wasn't on the previous one, and this archive from Minnesota statutes in the University of Minnesota has. Yeah, and then some statutory interpretation theories, tools, and trends, which is very important for you to understand when you're doing legislative research. And then slip laws such as alarms, codification, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so the databases through our university have most of these resources, including the HANA Online we talked about to do secondary research or to do legislative history research as well. That's actually a database within HANA Online on legislative history research. There's also all the other ones that you see below. And the ones that I love is Proquest Congressional, which I consider to be almost like the Cadillac of legislative history research. And I'm just going to show you a little screenshot there. I was looking for affirmative action because it came in my email. And then I'm looking, okay, affirmative action, what is there? And then I get the hearings, the Affirmative Action District Government Employment Act, the Oversight Review of the Department of Labor's Federal Contract Compliance Programs, Affirmative Action Program. There are 12,532 results, including bills, congressional records, hearings, congressional record daily, the CRS reports, etc. And I like CRS reports because they kind of give you a scientific or non-biased or objective, more objective report on a particular area of law. And what they did here, they have one on affirmative action and equal protection in higher education, written by Christine Back, who is a JD, and this is what it's about. And then I clicked on it and I started reading about it, and then here comes the conclusion. In the conclusion, it has basically the status of the law. But if you notice before, there's a lot of citations to this, how it got to be where it's at, including the University of California versus Backey, Barnes versus Gorman, and all of these different resources that you can go from. So if you look at the HUD online and how they're organized, congressional documents are right there. Federal Legislative History Library is right there. And then there's Supreme Court Library, which shows all the major cases in the land. Okay, you can also look by subject matter. Just look for affirmative action, and it's going to give you tons and tons of materials to search for. Okay, so this one is still searching in one of the particular articles that I was searching for, and it's probably internet problems. But it's important that you know and that you understand how to do legislative research. It is in statutory law that the limits of imagination on the part of lawmakers is the most obvious. That is, that legislators likely do their best to create a workable law when they enact it, but its full appreciation is hard to foresee. If you were a legislator drafting a statute, what steps could you take to write workable language? Okay, so in your discussion, you really want to try and think about how will you make a piece of legislature more effective. So you want to be clear and concise, you want to avoid legalese, you don't want any redundancy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Come up with your own ideas and please share with us. I hope this has been helpful and that you have been able to implement what you have learned into your research paper. Okay, thank you so much. And if you need anything, let us know. Okay, bye-bye.